What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how to collect your fields from your visitation points. All right, let's get started. We're going to start by open up the starter code or the code from the last video. If you haven't watched that yet, I highly suggest watching it. We're going to go ahead and make a new file on S object, and we're going to create a class for our fields. So let's go ahead and call it collection. Okay, and a couple things we need to import is core location, and we're also going to be collecting the advertiser ID or identifier of the phone. So let's go ahead and import add support. All right, now to get started, we're going to go ahead and create a function for collecting all of these fields. So let's go ahead and call it collect visitation fields. Call a parameter visit with a type CL visit. To start us off, we're going to get the arrival and departure in string format. And we also want to get the duration between these two. So in order to do this, we're going to need to create a helper function. We're going to go ahead and call that getDuration. And that's going to take in 2 points, both of type date. And it will return an int in minutes. So we're going to go ahead and start by getting our current calendar. And we're going to need the minutes aspect of this. So let's go ahead and call cal.date components. And we want .minute. And that's going to be from time 1 to time 2. Now from that, we're going to extract the difference in minutes. So we're going to say let diff equal components dot minute, and let's unwrap that and return diff. All right, now coming back to our collect visitation fields, we're going to go ahead and let duration equal self.getDuration, and we want the date format of this rather than string. So we're going to go ahead and say visit.arrival date and visit.departure date. There we go. Okay, now some other simple fields we're going to pick up are latitude and longitude. So let's let latitude equal visit.coordinate.latitude and longitude equal visit.coordinate.longitude. Another thing we're going to want here is the horizontal accuracy of the visit. So let's go ahead and call this horizontal accuracy. And we're going to go ahead and say visit.horizontal accuracy. Okay, and the last thing we're going to need here is the UUID or the phone identifier. So let's go ahead and say let UUID equals UI device dot current dot identifier for vendor. Let's unwrap that and get the string. There we go. Now we need some way of storing these points, and it would be even better if it were in a codable format, which makes it easy to turn into a JSON for our pull request. So let's go ahead and scroll to the top, and we're going to actually put it outside this class. We're going to create a new struct, and we're going to call it a visitation point. And that is going to be codable. And we're going to have our arrival. You can go ahead and say let arrival type string, let departure of type string. And I'm actually making these string formatted due to the fact that our API is actually going to reformat how we want to read in our date string. we're going to let duration of type int, our horizontal accuracy type double, our latitude type double. Same thing here for longitude. And then we have our last one, UUID type string. Okay, so this is a single visitation point, but we're going to want to store multiple visitation points. And again, we want this to be codable in order to turn this into JSON nice and easily. So let's go ahead and call this visitation points to send, make it codable. And we're going to let data of a list of visitation points. There we go. And we're also going to let partition key of type int. And I'll explain in my later videos why we're going to include that, but just go along with it for now. Okay, so now that we have these two things, we're going to need to declare in our class an object of each struct. So let's go ahead and first we're going to create a variable called visitation points, and that is going to be of type, we're going to create a variable called, visitation points, and that's going to be of type visitation points to send. We can actually just initialize that here. So I'm just going to create an empty list. We're going to actually set our partition key to 1, which I'll explain later. Okay, now that we've done that, we can start adding points to our visitation points. So let's create a point in our collect visitation fields. So this is going to be of type visitation point. So let's let new visit equal visitation point. Let's go ahead and initialize that. So arrival, it's going to be arrival, departure, departure, duration, duration, horizontal accuracy, our latitude, longitude, and UUID. So now that we have this new visit, we're going to want to go ahead and append that to our visitation points. Let's check out what this error is here. And it looks like we made a spelling error somewhere. There it is. Horizontal accuracy. So that should work itself out like so. And now we're going to need to append this visit to our visitation points. So let's go ahead and call self.visitationpoints.data.append and our new element, new visit. And because we are going to mutate this, let's go ahead and set that to var instead of let. There we go, and that should work itself out. Okay, next up, we're going to work now on sending this through our API. And we want to do this every, let's say, 10 minutes. We're going to check for all of our points. We're going to send these points to our API, and we're going to reset our points to an empty list. So let's go ahead and create a time to send variable. We're going to initialize that to false. And we're also going to get our last time sent. And let's just initialize that to the current date. So now we need something that's going to check for each point added. Has it been enough time in order to send these visitation points? So let's go ahead and create a new function here. We're going to call it func check to send data. And we're going to make our variable new timestamp of type date. Again, we're going to get our calendar component. We're going to check the difference from our last point. And we're going to see if that difference is greater than 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and say let cal equals calendar current, like earlier. Let components equal cal.date components. Go ahead, dot minute from self dot last time sent to new timestamp. Again, we're going to check the difference between those two times and unwrap that. And then we're going to check if the difference is greater than 10 minutes. And if so, we're going to set self dot time to send data equal to true. And just to make sure that it happens, we're going to print time to send. Okay, and like I said earlier, we also want something to clear our data every time it is sent. So let's go ahead and call this function data sent. And let's just print it so we can see that we reset our local data. We're going to reset our time to send data equal to false. Last time sent equal to the current time. And then we will empty our visitation points. So self dot visitation points dot data, and that will be an empty list. Okay, so now in our location manager, we're going to move over to our did visit, and rather than just printing the visit, we're going to send the visit to our collector class. Drag that in there. Okay, so one thing we're going to need to do is create an instance of collection. So let's go ahead and call our field collector equals collection. Just create a new instance. And now we can store the points in our field collector, and our field collector will check when points need to be sent. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and erase our print our visit point, and instead we're going to add that point to our collector. And as we add that point, we're then going to check if it's time to send. And then if it is, we'll go ahead, send it, and then call data sent, which will reset our collector points in our list. So let's go ahead and start by adding the visitation point to our collector. So we're going to do this by self dot field collector dot collect visitation fields. And we're just going to go ahead and pass down that visit. And then we're going to check if it's time to send. So self field collector time to send data. And if that's true, we'll go ahead and send our data. So I'm just right now going to say send data, and we'll come back to that. And then we're going to go ahead and reset our data. And of course, we're doing this separate in case we have any error handling. So let's go ahead and call self dot field collector dot data sent. And that will go ahead and reset our data as well as set the point for the last time sent, which resets that 10-minute check mark. All right, so that's going to be it for this video. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. In our next video, we'll be looking at how to send this data to an API. After that, the following videos will look at how to create an ingestion engine for our data, as well as creating a data lake and a dashboard to describe this data. Thanks, and see you next time.